as you can see from it now saying recording on the screen. Well, I can see that. I think you guys can see it. The listeners can't see it.
No, they can hear it, but they can't see it.
Yeah. And now I can go straight into we're back, bitches. I can say bitches, can't I?
It depends on who
That's
you're
fine.
talking about. If you're talking about Dan and I, that's fine. Nothing
Yeah, talking
sexist
about you
about
guys.
calling two men bitches.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Welcome to Multiple Nerdgasm with your hosts, Matt, Luke, and Dan. Multiple Nerdgasm, your guide to all things nerdy.
We're all not in the same country, but we're back to our normal places of residency.
You two are in the same country, and that's all. That's
Yes.
what counts.
That is true. But we were in the same country last week too. Just
that's
a different
true.
country.
Not my country.
Not
Where
your
I got-
country. And we didn't get to meet up because I got really sick.
Yeah, that sucks.
I got food poisoning.
Did you?
Thankfully
From the
I didn't
eggs?
get that.
From all the eggs?
From putting
What?
eggs in beer?
From a cheeseburger from Hungry Jack's.
Oh,
That's ironic.
I got a cheeseburger at the airport, and I know it was the cheeseburger because I felt it sitting there, and I've gone in the plane. I can see it sitting there, and when I get to the hotel, I'm going to throw this up in a minute. And
Oh,
yeah,
no.
it was definitely the cheeseburger.
What country were you in that there was a Hungry Jack's? I'm just curious.
I was in Vietnam flying to Malaysia.
Okay. Was it a Hungry Jack's, or you just called Burger King Hungry Jack's because you're from Australia?
I forget.
I'm just
it was-
curious.
It may have been Burger King. I get them confused still.
Yeah,
in
that's fair.
Australia.
No, it's just because I worked at Hungry Jack's, so every time someone mentions it, I always think, I think back. And so for American or non-Australian listeners, Burger King, the trademark was owned in Australia. So when Burger King opened in Australia, they thought up another name, Hungry Jack's.
Yeah, and there
So-
wasn't one stage where we had two. We had Hungry Jack's and Burger King, and that
Yeah, at the
has
same
been
time.
forever.
there was also a point where in New South Wales, you still had to call it Hungry Jack's, but in Melbourne, in Victoria, they started being able to call it Burger King.
Yeah, right. I remember
it's
there
just-
were both franchises
Yeah.
in Sydney
Yeah.
at one point, and
Yeah, there were two on
the
George
food was
Street.
identical.
Exactly the same store layout, same menu.
No matter which branch I worked at, I did not give a shit. You were going to get some trash.
I'll say this: their chicken burgers, damn good.
Oh yeah,
Well, I'm now put off their cheeseburgers.
they got some ranch
Yeah.
dressing on them. That might be what you like about it.
Oh yeah,
It's not
that's
common
true.
in Australia.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But I also do just very much like fried chicken. So
Yeah.
there's that too.
Oh, that was one thing.
Welcome
I
to
found quite
fried chicken gasm.
weird. Was it Vietnam? I think there was Popeyes.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
you
Popeyes,
fucking love
yeah.
Popeyes. There's one right near my
Yeah.
house. I've told you that, right?
I love Popeyes.
Yeah.
Popeyes is
First thing I
good,
did,
yeah.
Popeyes.
I'll take you down the road.
I'm gonna get Popeyes.
Take you down the road. You can get Popeyes, and I'll get something from. Actually, there's a restaurant called Dan's Place where I'll get food.
Hey. Matt, is there an Arby's near you? Because that's my favourite American fast food.
No, in fact, I don't know if there's an Arby's in Rhode Island at all. I've never seen one.
Okay,
I've been
there's
to
one
an
in New
Arby's.
York City. I've been to one in New York, and I've been to one in Park City, Utah, which is the first one I was
yeah.
at. And I was like, this is fucking good.
One of the things I love
Here,
is I
have
go
a
to
Philly
Popeyes.
cheesesteak. Have a cup of oil to dip it into.
Well, that's what I
Yes.
love about Popeyes. I'll get some fried chicken and a gallon of lemonade.
Yeah.
And a scone.
There's an Arby's in Auburn, Massachusetts, which is
Okay.
not really that close, but I mean, you could do it if you wanted
We
to.
can make it work.
I've told
do
you
want to,
about
Matt.
Papa John's pizza, right? I know we talked about this when I first moved because I was like, gosh, you're not going to believe this. At Papa John's, you get a pizza with dipping sauce, which is,
To dip slices of pizza into.
and the dipping sauce is garlic butter.
Now you're talking. Yeah,
So you fucking dip pizza in garlic butter.
that's amazing.
And then you
Please
die
tell
of a
me you
heart
get
attack.
toppings on this pizza, and this is not just a cheese on bread thing.
No. You get toppings on it. Yeah. I mean, I get pineapple.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel about that. Have we talked
Oh
about
man,
this?
I'm all for pineapple.
This should be
No,
in the
no
AMA
pineapple.
episode, which we'll talk about
Oh, it
later.
should be. Do you like pineapple? Yeah, I do.
Pineapple's horrible.
Spoilers.
Anchovies on pizza, that's where it's at.
Anchovies are good. I can't get those though because my wife.
Anchovies are very good.
I don't know how Lyra feels
you
about them. Not sure she's ever had
You
them.
can get these little dried anchovies in Malaysia. They're called ikan bilis, and Yeah,
Why are you
fried
telling me
chicken.
about this now?
And they're fucking great.
That's a cute name.
Did you have nasi lemak while you were there?
Oh,
By
that
the
stuff's
funny
so
chance?
good.
I don't think I did. I
It's
didn't
like
really
fried
eat-
chicken on rice with this chili sauce and these little ikan bilis.
I wasn't that adventurous eating food in Malaysia after.
Oh, see, I used to get so when I worked at I won't say where I worked. I worked in Sydney, and we went to God, what was that fucking suburb? Anyway, there's a whole street full of like Indonesian, Malaysian food, and like I worked with a couple of guys from there, and so we go to these restaurants. That's where I got the like soft bone chicken that I had. That's when I still ate meat, and that God, that food, all that food, every place on that street was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what I was eating. So now that you've said that nasi lemak has got the little things in it, makes sense. Delicious.
I am
Fucking good.
upset about one thing I did when I got back. I screwed up my duty-free alcohol.
Oh.
I could have got more.
Oh.
One of the ones I picked up, I got like a twin pack, and I was thinking they're both litre bottles. They weren't 700ml bottles. I could have got another 600ml of alcohol.
Well.
Rookie mistake.
You were probably smuggling quite a few mils inside you, though. So that probably made up for it.
No, alcohol's sort of expensive in Malaysia.
Not on a plane, though, is what I'm getting at.
In Vietnam, it's cheap. And
Well,
good.
Malaysia's Muslim majority. They don't want you to drink there.
No.
They prefer it if you didn't.
There was quite a lot of alcohol in me because we went to the lounge before we got on the flight, so I just sat there drinking lots of alcohol.
I did
Well, you
notice
were on holidays.
every time we got sent a photo and you said, "Oh, just having a quick beer," and it was like a fucking stein.
So, yeah, with an egg in it. Luke, did you eventually try that?
I did.
Oh, you did,
and
yeah.
I did egg beer, and you can't really taste the beer.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Oh,
do
it just tastes of
certainly
egg?
it's
No,
egg
it's-
and vanilla, right?
It's
Oh,
condensed
condensed
milk
milk.
and egg yolk.
Oh
and-
yeah, no. This is
It's
for people who
very
don't
sweet.
like beer.
But there is a video. I think Hannah took a video, so I can post that
Ah.
of me drinking egg beer.
Did I tell you about my neighbor? My two neighbors and I went to the pub for lunch one day, and we're like, "Should we have a beer? Yeah, let's have a beer." Right. So I order a beer, and my other neighbor orders a beer, and then my other neighbor went, beer, eh? Yeah, I drink beer. And we're like, okay, good.
Huh?
Order yourself a beer.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And he goes up to the barman and he goes, what is the weakest beer I could possibly order? And he goes, well, they're all kind of the same, but maybe this one's a light one if you're not really used to it. He's like, okay, what is the smallest glass of beer I could order? And he's like, well, you could get the little midi. He's like, right. Could I have half a midi of beer, please?
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, mate, just get a Coke. You don't
Yeah,
have
don't
to
worry about
impress
it.
us. Yeah.
drink.
You don't like beer, mate.
If you were trying to impress us, you have failed.
That's right.
That's adorable.
He was trying to
was, it
fit
really
in.
was. Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah, give it a go.
Oh, if you don't like it, don't drink it.
Yeah, don't. Life's too short for that shit.
I didn't like beer until I did. And
Yeah,
I don't really
that's
know
what
when
happened to me too.
that transition happened. It just happened
Yeah.
when I was
I-
about 18, I guess.
I have found out that I like the type of beer. It took a long time for me to work out what type of beer, and I hate Australian
yeah.
beer. Australian beer's all
Yeah,
fancy.
I hate a lot of Australian beers too. I would
I
agree.
guarantee, I bet, let me guess, you both like German Hell's Lager, kind of.
Fuck yes, we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, that's
Bring
style.
on lager.
Pure, with icy waters of the
Oh,
North
yeah.
Sea.
The purity laws, beer laws. Nothing
Beer
funny
laws,
about it.
beer
If you call the
purity
purity
laws,
laws,
yeah.
you might think that's sus because it's Germany.
Because it's German, yeah.
It's
The Germans are
actually
very
really good.
well behaved at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
They don't step out of. They don't goose step out of line at all.
Beer is cheaper than water. That's not a joke. It literally is.
No.
In
not a joke.
Vietnam, it's true. It was because I was doing the whole thing alternating, but sometimes it was actually cheaper just to have a second beer than it was to buy a bottle of water. I'm not joking at all.
A beer was cheaper than a Coke at the Swamp Bar where I went to uni at Western Sydney.
I remember the Swamp Bar. $5 jugs.
Fuck me. I haven't been to this. Well, obviously, I've been at the Swamp Bar in a long time. I didn't
Yeah,
need to say
it'd be
that.
creepy if you hung out there
Yeah.
now.
Well, I did go there a lot back in the day.
Yeah,
Yeah, wow.
me too.
Yeah, Jolly Jugs.
I mean, I went to
on
school
the
there,
Thursday
to be
night.
clear, but
I didn't.
I didn't. I
I
There were
went there.
bands there and there were girls.
Exactly, bands and girls. That's why I went.
Bands and girls.
And
And cheap drinks.
incredibly cheap beer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cheap
because I
drinks.
remember a Coke was $2.80, but a beer was $2.20. Like a cup of beer. And if you brought your own cup, it was even cheaper. It was 20 cents cheaper if they didn't have to wash the glass for you.
I spent many a night there. Never went to uni there, but spent many a night at that bar.
I didn't graduate from there. I dropped out of that one.
I went to that uni, just not that campus. Like,
Sure.
Yeah. So
Uni's for suckers.
Well,
I didn't finish my. Degree
I have other
either,
degrees since then, but
Yeah.
Yeah, how many degrees do I have? 0. Do I need any? Probably.
look at
I
you
don't have
now.
it.
No one's asked.
no one's ever asked.
Hey,
I did get asked when
do
I
they?
moved. When I
Average-
moved to Singapore, they asked because if you are going to get an expat visa, you have to have a degree.
Hey, I can go.
Oh, interesting.
Average diplomas in my household, I'm doing pretty good.
Average,
Average
yeah,
diplomas
yeah,
per
because
head.
your wife has enough for the both of you.
Yes.
Yeah. When I told you I did a background check for a job here, and they wanted to contact, like they wanted to go way back and contact like schools that I went to and this kind of stuff, and I was
wow.
like, good luck. Like they don't fucking exist anymore, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
And
go
the-
back to
and
school.
you're like,
Not the school.
I'm not
This is like an
incriminating
agency. This is
myself.
some. So they hire some company to do this, and they're like, oh yeah, we need like references. We want to contact this and that. I'm like, I don't even know where these people are. Like, like
But did they ask for like?
I went to school in the middle of fucking nowhere. The school
But
doesn't
did they-
exist anymore.
Because America's a place where they're concerned about diplomas, aren't they?
They are, but they don't understand when I talk about our school system anyway. So you know,
yeah, true.
not that they don't understand. It's just it's different. So it's they kind of like yeah, whatever. Like whereas here they go, oh, what's your you know, what do they call it? I can't even remember what they call them now. We would say like juniors, seniors. They say like freshmen, all this. They have all these things that I'm like, I don't know what that means.
High school.
But you can also be a freshman in middle school, and then a senior in middle school, and then you're a freshman again in high school, right?
Yeah, see, I don't know what any of that means. So that's
You
So
go to primary school, then you go to high school, and then you go to uni. Maybe
I
that's
just
it.
play dumb. Look, I have these
You know what I
certificates.
always-
You're just gonna have to take my word for it that they're
Yeah.
legitimate.
You know
'cause-
what? I know how to do this job, mate.
Yeah.
Either hire me or don't hire me.
Yeah, exactly.
What I
You're
don't know, I can
asking
pick up.
me if I want the job. So
Call my boss in Sydney. He will tell you he loves me, and he'll tell you that, and maybe that'll be enough.
yeah,
You know what always makes me laugh? There's a school in London called University College, and that is the most made-up sounding school. Where did you go? I went to University College in London.
well, we've sort of been around the world. Should we jump into some of the news?
We probably should.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what
Let's
people
talk about the news.
probably listen to this shit for.
Yes, that's what they're here for. Up-to-date news.
Now, I saw an Apple ad this week. It's been a long time since I've purchased an iPad, but I do have an iPad, and you know,
do
I'd be
you have an
interested in getting a
iPad,
new
or
one.
does your daughter have
well,
an
my
iPad?
my daughter has an iPad. Occasionally, I'm allowed to use it to put on TV shows for her to watch.
Yeah.
But I'd like an iPad of my own occasionally in the future. And I saw an ad for a very thin iPad
Yeah,
that
they're
packs a lot in.
Very nice looking, the new iPads.
And it was, well, I thought it was a very nice looking ad too, but apparently people are very angry.
yeah, it's interesting.
Why?
So, the new iPad Pro, specifically, is the thinnest device Apple has ever made, which is an interesting statistic that I'm sure and apparently people double checked. Oh, it actually is. It's thinner than the iPod Nano. That's how
Right.
fucking thin this thing is.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
Well,
and
no,
so-
the iPad Nano wasn't that. I think you're
It's
remembering it
pretty
differently.
fucking thin. Apparently, it's some of the power cables are slightly wider than it. Like,
Amazing. Yeah.
it's really thin. This thing.
There's such a thing as too small. We're not asking
Well,
for
that's-
this.
Someone's pointed out they did have problems with the old ones bending. How the fuck is this one going to bend?
Yeah. Do you remember though when mobile phones, this before smartphones came in, got smaller and smaller and smaller
Yep.
until it was ridiculous? I had one that was this little circle that you had to flip open like not even a flip open this way. You flipped it that way to answer a call or to type in the tiny little numbers. Like
that was the trend at the time. It was going smaller, smaller until we went the other way. Bigger.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, and we can get back to the iPad in a sec. But Matt, it's something that you said off the cuff months ago that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. Right, because I've got the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Right, the largest iPhone that Apple made.
I got the 14 Pro Max. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it very much. It's the best phone I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I still think it's not quite big enough, right?
Yeah, sure.
So get an iPad.
Because as an e-reader, for example, it's still a bit small.
It's not an e-reader.
iPads are very expensive for just something that I could pop a video on. I
Right.
really, it's really hard for me to justify that.
Correct.
That's why
So
I like
I'm not going to
It's good.
buy an additional iPad while ever I've got this iPhone Pro Max. But you jokingly said once, why don't you just get the iPad mini with a SIM? And it's a dumb suggestion, but I can't stop thinking about it. Like, I'd need to carry a bag around because it wouldn't fit in my pocket.
Oh,
but
use it as a phone, yeah.
And use it as a phone. Because I don't make calls on it. I can't remember the last time I made a phone call.
Because data plans are not as ridiculous as they used to be here anymore. So you could just get a pure data plan and away you go.
Maybe.
Yeah, so maybe next time you'll see me walking around with this huge thing against my ear, making a call.
Well, these fucking iPads are thinner than the phones. That's how thin they are.
Yeah.
So on that basis, I guess, they came up with this ad campaign and they wanted to show, all the stuff you can do on an iPad, right? And I completely see where they're coming from. And I didn't even think anything of this when I saw the ad, which I assume you didn't either, right? You just watched the ad and go, oh, that's cool. It's a hydraulic press. And then it's got a bunch of creative stuff in it, like musical instruments and paint and like cameras and lenses, and it crushes everything down very dramatically and people like that stuff, right? So it crushes everything down very dramatically, and then afterwards it opens up and it's an iPad. It's smushed all of that stuff into an iPad.
What's wrong with
I subscribe to a YouTube channel of a guy who just crushes cameras, specifically cameras, on hydraulic presses.
Yeah.
They pop up on the algorithm every now and again. Yeah, people just crushing stuff, and I'll watch it because it's interesting.
That's the thing. Yeah,
No,
or
people
like
are
shooting
furious.
stuff, or like what's that high-speed camera one that get fucking Gavin from Rooster Teeth?
Slow-mo guys.
Slow-mo guys.
Yeah.
All that stuff. It's very popular.
My daughter is obsessed with watching people smush packets of eyeliner on YouTube. That's a thing. They get like not eyeliner, eyeshadow, the painty,
either way,
pallety,
Powdery stuff and
the powdery ones. They get a little needly thing. And I'm not talking one stray YouTuber. I'm talking there's a
this
trend.
is a thing. Yeah, right.
And they smush it up, and they smush the next little cube up, and they smush the next one up.
we start doing that as well?
Yeah,
just I'll be here just going.
Honestly, my wife's like, why aren't we cashing in on this shit?
Yeah, that's weird. Okay. Well,
But anywho,
a lot of people online, seemingly, and again, I don't know how much of this was just like somebody looked at it this way and then now everybody's trying to be like mad at Apple or whatever. But the sentiment on the internet now is that Apple's trying to say, we've destroyed all of this stuff because fuck you. You don't need it anymore. You use your iPad. Fuck you, musical instruments. Fuck you, real artists who paint. You use this digital thing instead. It's like, I don't think that's what they were trying to say.
They just want to be angry. No, they're really not saying that. They're absolutely not saying that.
Yeah.
The people at Apple are artists and creators, and they're saying that this will do all of that stuff. You can do music on it. You can do painting on it.
This is a quote from somebody on Twitter. Everything beautiful, charming, and analog will be destroyed by a flat, black screen. You will never hear music from an actual instrument.
What do you mean you'll never hear it? Don't buy the
Jesus.
iPad if you don't want it.
I want to go
Keep
to
your trumpet. It's not
just
like
an
they're
ad.
saying, you want this, bring me a trumpet, I'm going to have to smash something.
in the same thing. So are they saying that these artists who create stuff digitally, and I've seen some people do some amazing stuff, that they're not artists and screw those guys? Because it's the same.
Well, yeah, interesting.
There's a great interview from the early 90s, maybe even late 80s, with Trent Reznor, right? And he's on some Cleveland morning show program, right? And they're asking him why he thinks using a computer to make music is a legitimate
Yeah.
pursuit for an artist. And he was like, well, I don't see a computer differently to a trumpet or a keyboard. Like, the computer doesn't tell me what to write.
Yeah.
I write the music, and I use the computer because I want a futuristic computery sound. And the guy's like, that sounds like cheating to me. He's like, no, I can't be clear enough. The computer doesn't write the music. I write the music. The computer is the instrument.
Now it can.
Well, now it can.
I
don't think Trent does it.
No.
I feel like you've got to do a lot of mental work to think that that's like what this is. You know?
Yeah.
Because have you ever seen an ad before?
You have to be looking to be offended. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, you really do.
And then I saw, I think having John Gruber or somebody posted saying, is this what happened to Microsoft back in the day? You get too big, right? Apple was always this kind of plucky, like, think different, right?
Yeah. The
and
underdog.
they used to do all the stuff like this, and everyone was like, oh, good on them, you know, whatever. Now, they are the fucking richest company in the world. And then,
where's my 25% on the Apple Store?
Yeah. Everything that they do gets scrutinized, and if there's a way people can take it the wrong way, they fucking will.
Definitely.
Also
I would have thought
guarantee
this
half
one
these
was fairly
people who
safe.
I'm going to say half the people criticizing this are probably doing so on their iPhone.
Yeah, you're probably right. Look, I mean, it's 2024. If they were crushing a trans person, I get that. You know what I mean? I'd understand why that was controversial. But a trumpet? Really? We're standing up for trumpet rights now?
But
here's the thing.
They're not even...
Is it the trumpet or is it the idea of the trumpet? Like, I just don't really understand. Like, because I did see someone said like, oh, they've trashed all these actual objects that could have been given to people who wanted them. It's like, wait, what are you angry about? Are you angry about the actual objects that were destroyed, or what if
you want a trumpet, mate?
So if it was all CGI, I mean, maybe it is for all I know. It would be okay. It's not the concept you're upset with, because these other people are like.
Oh no, the people are saying, oh, they could have given away. They're just looking for stuff to complain about.
Yeah. Well, that's how I feel about the whole thing a little bit.
Also, musicians who use software usually use it to record music, not to synthesize music out of thin air. Like Matt, you are a musician. You use computers and etc. Electronics.
I do both.
And yet, do you have analog instruments in the very room you're sitting in right now?
I actually get a lot of pleasure from playing the guitars and lately the piano. I'm trying to learn. I've always wanted to learn piano. I'm very rudimentary piano skills. I'm trying to get better, and I get a lot of pleasure out of it because it's not the same as like the computer. It's like you said. Like I said, I'm not Trent Reznor, but I agree with what he said, which is that I can tell the computer I have this musical idea, right? I could do it on the guitar, would be the easiest tool for me to get an idea out. But I could also just go on the computer and I tell the computer, perform these notes. And then I can say, okay, now make it sound like a cello, make it sound like a fucking whatever. I'm still like creating it. And it is different to do that versus just sitting down and kind of almost kind of feeling it out. So like, I just don't see how it's not going to go away just because Apple made a fucking thin iPad, you know?
Is it Christoph Beck? Is that the composer for Buffy?
Yes.
He used to do the spot score for Buffy every week. Yeah. And there's a great DVD extra feature where he says he does all the score, like the orchestral score, on a synth because he doesn't have time to record an orchestra each time.
Yeah, it's expensive.
However, he always does the solo artists live because if you did it all synth, you'd be able to tell, and you'd say that's a synth score.
That's
he does the orchestra.
Trick they tell you,
So he does all the basic generic strings, but then he gets an oboist to come in and do the lead line.
Whatever your featured instrument is, you get a real artist.
Even
a real
this art, that person doing the interview was complaining Trent like using computer tuning. Did I know what Foley artists do, and the fact that like a punch isn't a punch? Like they're all
probably not, Luke. Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not. I'd go as far as saying, yeah.
They thought all that dialogue in Madam Web was recorded on set. That's a deep cut joke. Listeners, if you don't know apparently... Did you heard about this, the Madam Web ADR?
I just heard it was terrible. I haven't seen it all.
Apparently it's like, we talked about the remastered versions of Buffy where you can see people are on screen now and they're talking but their mouths aren't moving. This is a fucking multi-million-dollar 2024 movie that this happens in. There's literally a character standing there talking and his mouth's not moving because they ADR dialogue into it. So weird.
Wow. What film that came out recently is in trouble for using... Oh, it's Roadhouse. Was shot before the strike, edited after the strike, and they couldn't get the actors back, so they used AI for some ADR.
Oh, interesting.
And everyone who was on strike were like, you know why we were on strike, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, no, we're doing it off the actors in the movie. And they're like, well,
still,
that's a fine line, mate.
Ill-informed. Well, yeah. We talked about the Late Night with the Devil thing already, right? Where they had the pictures in it. I think we talked about that. That was controversial.
I still haven't seen that movie. Have you seen that yet?
No, I really should.
I want to watch that. I might watch that this weekend, actually. That looks very good.
I'm going to go watch Fallout. I need to do that.
The show?
Yes.
Yeah, you should.
I need to.
I think it's just okay.
How many episodes in are you? How many episodes?
One.
Two. Yeah, see, no, I felt the same way. I watched the first one, I was like, oh, it's okay. Second one, I got to the end, and I actually said to Jen, I was like, you know what? I don't really mind if we don't watch this.
That's where I'm at right now. The first one was pretty good, but the second one was so flat. I was like, eh.
But then she said, no, we should watch it. And then I was like, all right. And then after, it must have been after 3, I was like, oh, you know what? No, it is good.
It started to click.
Okay.
Something about episode 2 was, because, it was the big fight with the ghoul and, no spoilers. There's a big fight in a town. And I was just
episode 2.
I just don't care about this.
Yeah, I don't care about anybody.
I don't know what's going on. Like, why is this happening?
And all my knowledge I have based on the games, not on anything they've told me in the show. Yeah.
Yeah. I get excited. They mention the Enclave, and I go, ooh, and Jenna was like, oh, what's that? And I'm like, oh, they'll explain it if it's important. I don't want to overload.
Because Jenna hates Bethesda, doesn't she?
Yes.
Is it Bethesda
games.
she hates? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She doesn't like the look of them. There's something about the character style and the animation that she finds really off-putting.
Like Uncanny Valley, too real.
Yeah, and the bugs. I told you she tried to play Fallout 4, and she hit this bug where your cryo tube doesn't open. Apparently, it was quite a common bug. I didn't get it. You guys didn't get it. She got it, and she said she just sat there, being like, I don't know what to do, because she didn't know it was a bug because she doesn't play these fucking games. Like,
and that would be very off-putting for.
That was literally her introduction to this series of games, was trying to play Fallout 4.
What do I fucking do?
And it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
I read recently that if you don't put any points into luck in Fallout 4 before you begin, you don't even make it into the shelter. Into the vault.
That's funny.
I kind of want to try that
because you default with points, and like if you go in and minus luck all the way down to 0, then
great.
You don't make it in. Yeah, it's shut by the time you get there.
The show. Oh, well, just to wrap up that Apple thing. The Apple's apologized. They're pulling the ad. It's not going to make it to TV.
Fuck off.
Yeah. What? Well, I mean, the sentiment is strong enough that they kind of had no choice, right?
Yeah. I'm going to buy an iPad now just to piss everyone off.
And I'm going to smash all my stuff.
Yeah. I'm going to smash a trumpet. I'm going to smash it so good.
Not my trumpet. Someone else's. No. I'll find a kid with a trumpet and I'll smash it.
I don't have a trumpet.
No. But I still just find it very strange that all these people are complaining. Like this one here, everything beautiful, charming, analog will be destroyed by a flat black screen. You must never see a sculpted bust, never hear music from an actual instrument, never feel the texture of real things. A silicon slab and Tim Cook will permanently stand between you and the world. And I'm posting this on my iPhone.
Yeah. Tim Cook came to my house, smashed my trumpet, and he's forcing me to use an iPad.
Yeah. I don't...
Did people say that when they first saw film in 1905? Did they say, well, plays are fucked now?
I was talking about this the other day, about how, people thought books were like, people are just going to be fucking reading all day now. Kids are fucked. They're not going to remember anything. They've got these,
Yeah.
Printing They're rotting their minds looking at these fucking books.
Yeah, mate, there were whole movements. The Luddite movement went around from printing press to printing press, smashing the machinery because they were like, this is fucking...
Did they make a TV commercial where they smashed them? Might have been less successful if they had.
I didn't watch Fallout yet. I will. I did watch the first episode of Shogun.
Oh, I got to watch that. Apparently it's like the best fucking show in the world.
Look, it is very good. But I think it's not as good as the original.
See, I love the original. I'm worried about that. because the
So,
original
I'm-
it was like a very, I guess, important piece of pop culture for me personally.
Yeah. So the strong part of the original, at least in the first few episodes, for me, was this utter sense of isolation
Yes.
that this character felt. Being in Japan, not speaking the language, not understanding the culture even slightly. In this, he can speak to any one of about a dozen people.
Oh, really?
And and like, he's having a bit of trouble, but not a whole lot of trouble.
That's interesting.
And so it is still very good. They're focusing much more on surrounding characters' storylines as well. So in the old one, it was mostly just what he saw
Black
and what
Phone,
he understood and what he didn't understand. Whereas this is like a much more holistic story being
Yeah, you
told.
kind of saw everything from his perspective in the original, and
Yeah,
you
this is-
figured
this
out
is
what
not
was
the
going.
case.
Oh, it's like, kind of like I talked about. I like movies that do that, where you learn along with the character.
You
kind
learn
of
as
thing.
they learn. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is not that. This is
Oh,
not
interesting.
that. But it's beautifully done.
Yeah,
It's
right.
beautifully done. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, because it doesn't need to be the same. I did, because one of the, you just made me think. One of the things I always think of is, it's George Lucas's thing about with THX, where it's like it's this world and things aren't explained. Like what are they doing with the fucking cubes and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
he wanted
yeah.
to capture that feeling of these Japanese films when he would watch a Japanese film, and he'd be like,
Going,
"The
why
fuck
are
are they
they
doing
doing
that?
that?"
What? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What is that?"
But they don't explain that because that's just what they do in Japan.
And like when I watched that, there's a Chinese film called Rigor Mortis, or the American version is called Rigor Mortis, and it's about vampires and ghosts. But they're the Chinese version of those, which are
the hoppy
completely
ones.
different. And it's like the vampires have to count the grains of rice in a bottle. Like there's all these
yeah,
weird
right.
legends, and it's just like. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then it's like,
But that
that's
makes it awesome. Because you're
that's
like,
what I
well,
mean.
I've never seen
that,
this
that was the
before.
thing to get away from those vampires, was it? You throw like rice at them, and they had to stop and count.
Stop-
them.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
and then to interact with the ghosts on a physical level, you have to put your blood on the string, and then you can wrap the string around, and it's just all this stuff that's just like, wow, this is amazing. And it's like I don't understand it at first, but you figure it out from like context clues, and it's not kind of like you're not kind of babied into understanding it. You just have to figure it out. And then
There's a
the
culture-
original Shogun felt like that.
There's this cultural thing in China which is awesome. And I think it's just Taoist, or maybe it's just Buddhist, because there's lots of religions in China. But the funeral culture lasts 7 days, and each day there's a different thing to do. And the last day, you sprinkle rice flour all over the floor in your house, and the next day you check for footprints.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
just
great.
to make sure that
It's
They're
a
not still
Chinese
walking
custom
around.
where you burn paper effigies of things you
Yep.
want the dead to have.
yes,
That's fucking
yeah.
awesome. I watched a movie.
And it's
where they-
huge. Like if you go to the markets in Chinatown, like in Singapore, for example, there'll just be stall after stall after stall with paper iPads, paper cars, paper
Yeah.
houses.
How do you make an effigy of hookers and blow?
Yeah, but so if I died, you could crush a trumpet, and then I would have a trumpet. in the
You would have
afterlife.
that trumpet. Yeah,
Yeah. No, but because there was a movie I watched, I had no idea what it was called. It's a science fiction movie where one of the characters is a ghost, and so the other main character would like go and buy a burner thing, and then the ghost would get it.
He would
And I
have
was-
it straight away.
Yeah, and I was just like, what the fuck? And then I found out, that's
There was a
really
girl I
thing.
worked with who was legitimately angry one day because she was like, she'd gone to her grandfather's funeral on the weekend, and they were like, they burnt a paper iPad for him, but they didn't burn a paper charger. How's he going to charge it?
Wow.
It's a good question.
Where does it stop?
It's
though?
so cool, though. I mean, I think it's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't believe it's
He's
true,
gonna
but
have
it's
to ask
cool.
someone. He's gonna have to borrow a charger now.
Yeah, from another ghost.
Every time from another ghost. Yeah. Well, there's a Hungry Ghost Festival every August in Chinese culture where
What is
ghosts
that?
are fucking hungry and they're coming around and everyone leaves food outside their house for the month of August.
That's awesome.
Because otherwise
cool.
they're coming in, Matt. They're coming in.
Oh,
your
of
house.
course. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You don't want that.
Mostly oranges and fruit and stuff outside every door.
That was sort of one thing I sort of found a little bit weird in Vietnam, because Vietnam is primarily atheist, but they're also quite religious as well. So they'll have shrines and everything. So they don't believe in like a religion, but they'll leave stuff at shrines and stuff for the ghosts that are around. But they're also not.
It's like customs versus what do you actually believe.
Yeah.
I think the word superstition probably applies, except that it sounds like it's derogatory, but
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
condescending
but
in a
it's
way, but it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not meant that way. Look, on the subject of Fallout, Fallout, the show, is very popular. It was been more popular than apparently Bluey, and
That's a big call.
and apparently Grey's Anatomy.
Wait. Are you going to say crossover? Are you going to say Fallout Bluey
Oh.
crossover? Because
Bring
That
it
would
on.
be interesting. That would be very interesting. I'd love to see Bandit in the Fallout universe.
in the wasteland,
Hanging out with
Yeah.
dog meat.
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
Blue as dog meat.
I thought it was interesting. Grey's Anatomy apparently is very popular, which is interesting to me because Jenna's watching it, and I don't know if that is it just been released on Netflix. I guess you probably don't know, but
I don't know.
just thought that
Hannah
was-
watches
I've
it on and
never
off
seen
it.
and always has watched it, but I've never seen
Isn't that the one with McDreamy? Is that Grey's Anatomy?
yeah. What's his name? Patrick Duffy. Is that his name?
Patrick Duffy? No,
Did I make
Patrick
that up?
Duffy's from Step by Step, isn't he?
Is he? Am I just making that up? Oh my god, my keyboard doesn't work. That's going to be a problem for typing.
Yeah, that's all it'll be a problem for, though, to be honest.
Apart from that, it's fine.
I'm just going to plug a power cord into it in case. There we go.
Don't be fucking around with power chords mid-recording, Matt.
Oh, it's definitely not Patrick Duffy.
Patrick Duffy's from Step by Step, right?
Grey's Anatomy. Patrick Dempsey.
Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah, there you go. That's
I
probably who you mean.
No, I don't know half the shows on
I'm
this
glad his
list.
name was
And
Patrick at least, so I look like less of a fuckwit.
on the top 10
I mean, it's pretty
stream-
close.
I don't know half the shows, and the other half of the shows I'm sort of surprised are on there. So we've got Fallout's number one, that's just surpassed Bluey.
Yes.
Then we've got Grey's Anatomy. Then we have Vikings.
Oh, it's a good show.
Then we have The
Till
Resident.
season
Up to a
4.
certain point, it's a good show. Yeah.
The Residents?
Resident.
Residents.
Unlocked a jail experiment.
All right.
Then NCIS.
Okay.
That's always popular. I forget that show exists. That was a trivia question at trivia, and then when he read the answer, I was like, I fucking forget that show exists.
There's now a
I
million
can't
of them.
believe they had enough storylines to stretch naval detectives out into
To
an
Australia?
entire show, literally. But
There's now
there's an
NCIS
Australian
21
one.
seasons of NCIS. Just the main one. There's 21 seasons.
Yeah.
Oh,
Then
wow.
we also-
I've got one episode of Friends left.
Oh, wow.
I've done it almost.
Amazing.
I'll probably die in my sleep tonight, having never watched
We've had it
all.
on a little bit, and we just watched the series where Tom Selleck is.
Oh,
in it.
yeah. Yeah.
And it is very good. Yeah, where her dad's like, maybe I'll let you drive my Porsche and you
Yeah.
let me. And he's like, Dad, please stop talking.
Yeah. Yeah. Let it go.
Yeah.
And then we get on to the last three. Family Guy,
Okay.
which Bob's Burgers, which
Bob's Burgers is good.
I could see.
I don't know Bob's Burgers.
And then,
Bob's Burgers is funny. You might like it.
Okay.
and then
all right.
evidently a movie.
Everyone told me
called
I'd like
Wish.
BoJack Horseman, and I wasn't too fussed
I didn't
with
like
that,
BoJack
though.
Horseman, so
Bob's Burgers, I think you would like.
Okay.
Bob's Burgers is funny.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah, it is different. I don't know exactly how to describe it. It's almost like it's very dry.
Yeah,
It's like,
Okay. I like dry.
comedy.
I like dry.
yeah, but I think it's very funny.
yeah. It's not like Family Guy or anything. It's its own thing.
Yeah, no, it's a good show.
I watched two things this week. I watched Baby Reindeer because
Oh, yeah.
everybody is talking about it. Look, it's very good, but I didn't enjoy it. And when I finished it, it's listed as a comedy, but it's not a comedy. I mean, it's about a comedian and he tells jokes, but it's not a comedy. And like, there's some really full on rape scenes in this show, right?
Really?
Yeah, and one episode where this dude just gets continually raped, and I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know why everyone's
Why is
so
everyone like
enamored with
this?
this show. Yeah, fucking
Yeah,
hell.
What?
It was
Why
well
is it
done.
called Baby Reindeer? May I ask?
Okay, So the premise
that
of the
a
show
spoiler?
is
No?
not at all. So minute 1 of episode 1, you find out. So
Okay.
he's a Scottish stand-up comedian, wannabe, comes down to London, gets a job in a bar while he's doing gigs, and this lady who comes into the bar every day calls him baby reindeer and flatters him, tells him he's good looking, tells him he's funny, and he fucking loves it.
Right.
After a while, it starts getting a bit creepy.
Right.
But by that time where he's decided she's probably a stalker, he's kind of egged it on for months and months. And so he's in this this
Right.
weird position where he doesn't know what to do.
Okay.
That's the story. That's
That
the
sounds
story.
pretty good.
It's
but-
interesting and it's beautifully done. But I don't know, it's not funny. It's not comedy.
All right.
Yeah, so genre is TV drama, British TV comedies. This show's offbeat.
I saw it listed as a black comedy in what I just Googled. So, all right.
I don't know, man. I did watch something else though.
So
that
the rape is not
really
as funny
liked.
as the rape in Norseman, I guess is what you're saying.
all the rapes in Norseman are funny. All of them.
I don't know how they managed to make them that funny. Because you feel like they shouldn't be funny, but they've
But
done
also
it.
because you know how you can make fun of yourself, but you can't make fun of others. That's the line. You
Sure.
can punch up, you can't punch down.
Yeah.
Norseman is made by Vikings, modern day Vikings,
Yeah.
who everyone knows they were rapists. So
Yeah.
they make jokes about them raping. I think that's the only way it works.
Yeah. That show's fucking
Yeah.
funny.
Because there's no, it's very, very good. The other show I watched is Ripley, which is a retelling.
Believe it or
of
not,
the-
it's about sort of
Yeah, I
fanciful
thought that
scenes
too.
and
I was going to say, it's,
I would
it's a
love
sequel
that.
to
I would
Alien.
love that. Yeah. No, this is a remake of The Talented Mr. Ripley, or rather, it is a new adaptation of the book that was
Okay.
based on. It's the exact same storyline. So if you've seen it, the movie, you know this story, except that it's done completely differently. For starters, it's shot in black and white like a European film. It is the most beautiful television series I've ever watched. But also, instead of it being like this kind of... The whole point of the Talented Mr. Ripley movie was that like it's so awkward. This guy's like copying this guy. Is he in love with him? Is he just trying too hard? No, in this, cold-hearted psychopath right from the start.
Andrew Scott plays Ripley. I like him.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah, he's excellent in this. And they've had to kind of shift it because they're meant to be in their 20s, so they've kind of had to shift everyone's age up 10 years so
He's
that
not in
Andrew
his
Scott can
20s.
play it.
Yeah.
He's not.
he's double that easily, right?
Yeah, that's right. So they've made him 30 and he passes.
if you squint.
47.
He's 47, is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he looks good for it. Like, no question.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was going to say, I know he's older than that.
Yeah.
He's a good actor, though. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I watched
Yeah,
something.
so this
I
was
won't go on about it because I already have.
No, I want you to. I want you to go right on about it.
I will say I finished Star Trek Picard season 3 and I fucking loved it. And
Did you?
I cannot believe. I'm so glad that I forced myself to watch season 2, even though I could have skipped it. But I wouldn't have because it's just not how I'm not sure I would. I would
You're not
have
going to
never.
watch season 3.
I would never have done that. Like
Thinking you've missed something, or
I would have. Yeah, I would have just never watched season 3, and so I'm just so glad I forced myself to watch season 2, which was absolute garbage. And to be honest, you can and should skip it. It's literally there's a throwaway sentence in season 3 where they mention it and then they go, anyway, forget that shit. Like literally, the character says, "Forget that nonsense."
Amazing.
And then, the last 2 episodes of season 3 of Picard were manipulative, but in a way that I was like, okay.
it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
If they can convince you to go along with it, it doesn't matter how heavy-handed it is.
I mean, I was smiling as I was going, yeah, all right, fine.
Okay.
Let's do that then.
So, did they lean into the nostalgia
Oh,
of
yes.
Star Trek? Is that
Oh,
right?
yes.
Big time.
And it surprised me. That's how I speak now.
Yeah. I like that.
It wrapped up a little plot hole
From
that
Star
I hadn't
Trek.
considered. Yeah, there is a plot hole. technically, and I don't want to spoil anything. I know this show's been out for ages. Does anyone give a shit if I spoil
No,
something?
I don't
spoil
give a
away.
shit. Luke's seen it, so go
The
ahead.
rules are there. We've got the rules.
Why
And
did
you're not spoiling Picard. You're spoiling the next generation, right? To be clear.
Well, it is a spoiler for Picard in a way because until you get
Go
to
for it.
the end of season 3 of
Listeners,
Picard,
skip
you,
ahead
you won't
30
know that
seconds.
this is even a plot point that's going to come up.
I see. Right.
But in Star Trek: The Next Generation, Picard is assimilated. He becomes Locutus of Borg. He becomes a Borg. And they get him back and they get all the implants out and you think he's back to normal. Turns out, not so much. And it answers a weird thing that I never considered because I've watched these and I just accepted it. But like in like First Contact, he says he can still hear the Borg.
Oh, right. Yep.
Why?
Yeah.
Now you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was like, neat. Okay. Yeah. I guess that was a loose thread that I never even
Sure.
thought of because I just accepted it
And
as a
back
kid.
then, I don't think did they used to worry so much about. They just made shit back then, didn't they? They didn't worry about anything interconnecting as much as they do.
Yeah, I don't know if
today.
they ever intended to go anywhere with that, or if it was meant to be like metaphorical. But there is literally, because I went back and looked at clips. And I remember it from First Contact, where he says when they're nearby, he says, "I can like hear them, like in my consciousness, kind of thing." And it's like, oh yeah, well, makes sense now.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
No, it's really good. Yeah, you should watch it, Dan. You really should. You can skip the
Well, I
rest.
kind of want to now. Yeah, but
The first 4 episodes of it just were my favorite, just because I was not expecting it at all. And then there was like a bit of a dip that had me worried, but then I was like, you know what?
Strong.
But
Yeah,
should
it's
I
real
watch
strong.
season 2 or not?
No,
You
no.
can skip it.
Not
except
unless
I-
you,
You know
not
what?
unless you have
I'm gonna
to.
watch I'll watch a recap. Somebody must have done a
Oh,
9-minute
honestly,
recap.
season 2 is awful.
Except for
awful.
Alison Hill in that red dress.
See, I'm not. That didn't sway me at all. It was just so awful.
That swayed me.
I gotta look at Alison Peel.
And Jerry Ryan's in it. You know, if that's all you're after, Jerry Ryan's hot. 7 of 9.
Oh yeah, it's a nice red
I mean,
dress.
she's in 3 as well. Oh, I mean, this is a spoiler, but I'll be vague. We're not getting that TV series I was mentioning, Luke. Thank you for not saying anything. We're not getting that spin-off that I was hoping for.
Oh, somebody's dead.
The continued adventures of somebody. Sorry if that spoils anything for anybody.
I didn't want to ruin anything for you.
Yeah. I mean, it still might happen. Just
It'd be awesome. It'd just be yeah.
yeah. Oh, do you know what? Someone else pointed this out too, right? And this this is very funny. There are a number of things in season 3 of Picard where they kind of give a middle finger to the previous seasons. There's a sequence at the end. Okay, I'll try not to be spoilery, where a bunch of ships get destroyed, Starfleet ships. One of them is the ship that what's that fucking character from the ninja character from seasons 1 and 2?
Oh,
What's his name? Picard Ninja.
He's a Romulan, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a Romulan. What's his name?
Yeah.
Elnor. That's the ship Elnor was on. There's literally a scene where they're in the elevator and then he's like, oh, fucking is it the Excelsior? The Excelsior's been destroyed. And it's like, that's the ship Elnor was on. Just to pick that one to mention. Good stuff. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Oh, I'll say one more thing. The fact that they slowly introduced the cast and they didn't just shove them all together at the beginning and go, well, looks like we'll have to engage. And then they go off on this adventure. Like, that would have been dumb. They are organically brought into the story.
Yep.
And some of it's a bit convenient, but like, yeah, it's good.
It was fun to have them all back.
Yeah. But so those last 2, it's like, yeah, all right, fuck it, let's go. This is a bit contrived, but
It's
I
a bit
don't
on the
care.
nose, but you're all in
Yeah.
that stage.
This is if you're familiar with Battlestar Galactica, because the showrunner for this is, you'll know what I mean. You'll know what I mean.
All right.
All right, what else? Well, let's finish up. We've got one more bit of news for Star Trek.
Oh yeah. Oh, is this news?
Is it news? Is this a real thing, or is this someone asking, "Hey, would you like to come back to it?" And Shatner going, "Yeah."
Yeah, William Shatner says he's up for more, if feasible.
I don't think.
Kirk is dead. Let's be clear.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't.
Kirk died in Star Trek Generations.
But Kirk's not dead because William Shatner didn't want to do anymore, and now, so they killed him off, and now they're saying,
yeah.
"Oh, he does want to do one."
I think that
we'll bring him
probably
back."
that may well have been a condition of him doing it. He said, "Fine, but kill me off. I'm done."
Yeah, I think
That
at
might
the
have happened.
stage he was. I think back then he may have been a little over it and just
Actors
like,
do
I'll
that.
come
I think
back for one more.
Didn't Harrison Ford say that for Star Wars?
Yeah.
He said, "I'll come back as long as Han's fucking dead."
Yeah, I want this to be done. That way you can't ask me to come back anymore. And I think at the time, I think he would have been happy for this to be over for him.
And yet, Harrison did one more after that.
Yeah, that's true. He did. He showed up for the last one. But Shatner says, and this is interesting, because of some of the other stuff we said earlier. Shatner seems to be down for being de-aged to do it, or to voice to do the voice and then have some other, computer generated thing involved.
Okay.
Because
Here's an interesting one.
he's fucking 93.
Like, he's even so like we've got Captain Kirk's brain frozen here. There's a scenario. Let's see if we can bring him back a little bit of this, a little salt, a little pepper. Oh, look, here comes Captain Kirk. So like, bring back a younger version of him.
That's true. They do that. I mean, that's a side thing. That's a little throwaway thing, but they do have Kirk's body. That's in season 3 of Picard. They mention it.
Yeah.
They retrieved it.
So it is possible that, hey, let's bring him back. I'm in. Let's do it.
I mean, I'll watch it. But
Yeah.
It just... yeah.
I don't know, man. If it's like Discovery, I'm probably not going to watch it. No, that's
Discovery...
not true. I'll watch it if it's got Shatner in it.
Oh, on that note, literally the night that I finished the last episode of Picard, I like it ended, and I was just like, "Wow! Like, is Star Trek good now?" So
Okay.
Give me more.
You can't go from Picard to Strange New Worlds. They are different.
I did, and that was a mistake, and
Yes.
it was not fair of me to do that. And I've since put episode 2 on, and I'm like, okay, no. I was in a
Adjust.
completely wrong frame of mind.
Yes.
It's not the same kind of show.
It's because Discovery...
It's way more lighthearted.
Because it's more into Discovery... Because it's a spin-off from Discovery. But
Yes.
Discovery, I think, went stupid. Whereas Strange New Worlds is trying to capture, like, the original series. Like, just those standalone
Serial,
episodes.
every episode's a different thing, and
And it's a little more...
Yeah.
It's light on, and
the tone is completely different. The way that
Yeah.
Pike behaves clashes so much with what Picard season 3 was that I was like, oh no, I fucked up. I fucked up. This is not more of that same thing. This is something different. Yeah.
It is something different, but I think it's something different in a good way.
Yeah. Like I said, I've given it another shot, and I'm like, no. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that it wasn't what I was looking for.
Yeah, at that time, yeah.
I should have just sat there in the dark and thought about what I'd seen.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy you have gone back to it, and I think you will enjoy it. It does get better, and I think they've just finished filming season 3.
Okay. Yeah, because the characters in Strange New Worlds talk like modern people, which is very off-putting when it's Star Trek, but only because I'm used to Star Trek from the 90s or 80s and 90s, where they're all it's all very like it's all like pseudo-military in a way. They're all very professionals. They're professionals in space. They're not professionals in space in Strange New Worlds. They're normal people in space.
Yes.
Right.
Goofing around, making mistakes, and it's way more lighthearted. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's just a bit more fun.
Yes. And I just had to kind of bring myself around to that.
Yeah. Which, if you actually look at, it's a little bit like Next Generation was they were a little bit serious, but it was also fun back then as well. Whereas Picard was very serious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The first season of Picard.
Yes. Fucking hubris.
The second season, I can't deal with. Less swearing in season 3 of Picard.
Oh, well, that's disappointing.
Some, but less.
Okay.
And also a little, I guess, anachronistic language, because they do call they stuff say like, I think he calls Shaw like a dipshit or something like that at one point, and it's like, whatever. You wouldn't have said that.
Ow! Ow!
Maybe Luke would have.
Sorry, it's being attacked by a cat.
He's abusing an animal.
I was being abused. I was the innocent party here.
We've got some abuse news, but that's for the after party. Before we move into the after party, though, I did want to get Luke's opinion on the big dump that Microsoft took on a bunch of game studios this week. Did you see this?
I actually wasn't a big fan of this game studio to begin with.
So you thought, fuck the employees. Wait, which game studio? They've shut down a bunch of them this week.
Arcane.
Arcane, okay.
Wait.
They made Prey. What are you talking about?
Oh, hold on. Were they the ones that made Dishonored?
No.
Oh.
I
The
downloaded Dishonored.
The studio that made Dishonored is Arcane, but a different... You know how they're in different cities?
Yeah.
The one that made Dishonored is still there.
Oh.
The one that got shut down is the one that made Redfall, which I don't care about.
Yeah, that
but
was
they
not
also
good.
made... this was the Austin team. Made Redfall, and then they also made Prey, which was a fucking excellent game.
Did you finish it?
I did, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how good it was.
I tried to play it a few times and couldn't just not get into it.
No, it was excellent.
I thought it was Dishonored because I'm not a fan of the Dishonored series. I don't know. There's something about it I just could not get into it.
It's the same studio, but it's different office.
And then they also got rid of the people who made Hi-Fi Rush, or was that the same studio?
No, Tango Gameworks. Different studio. With the Evil Within, they did. They
Look,
shut down Alpha Dog. They shut down Roundhouse Studios.
Look,
It's not good.
I know it's not good, but this is actually the world in games at the moment, unfortunately. It's not a Microsoft thing.
I know, but they've come out and they've said as kind of a follow-up to it, they said, yeah, we did buy these studios, but we just can't afford to keep them all open. It's like, well, why'd you buy them then?
Buy them.
Yeah.
Well,
Stop buying them.
They weren't buying them for these ones.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I have been seeing an article about there that evidently an Xbox manager's come out and gone, we need to make more smaller games, and people going, but you just got rid of like the people who made Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush was not a small game. It was actually still quite a big game.
A big deal.
It was still like a 10-hour game, and I think what they're saying when we need smaller games are these more sort of 4-hour story, maybe.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Like a smaller game is something you can sit down and finish in 4 hours, type of thing.
Yeah.
That type of thing, maybe. Look, look, it looks bad. They just went out and purchased all these, and then they're getting rid of. But the game studio, which makes no sense to me at the moment. It's happening across the board. They're shutting down studios left and right.
Yeah. I know.
Or even though that they're all making billions of dollars and they're all selling record profits, but they're shut down across the board. So I don't think it's a Microsoft thing. I think it's a problem with the industry. As a whole.
Got too big for its boots.
Like the industry is making a fortune, but they can't afford to keep anyone open. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's a bit odd, I suppose.
But we'll wait and see. But yeah, like Prey, I didn't mind, but I never finished. Couldn't get into. Hi-Fi Rush was fine. Evil Within, I don't know how that got a sequel, to be honest. Because the first one was terrible.
All these people online being like, oh, these poor game developers. And Luke's like, yeah, but what did they make? What have they done for me lately?
Well, no. Yeah. The reason why I'm not these poor game developers is because I looked into becoming a game developer.
Yeah,
It was actually very nearly something I did. And the reason why I didn't get into it is it's such a volatile industry.
Yeah, that's
true. And it's a choice that people make. And you always got to have that resume up to date. No, it's like fuck them, but
it's like kind of like the way on films you form a company to make a film. This is how AAA studios work now. Is you form a company to make a film, and then if you're lucky, they'll hire you again for the next one.
Yeah,
but if not, you're fucked.
Yeah,
you're gone.
Like
and
that whole
game studios are quite like that these days.
Like
more and more so. It seems like.
The thing that I hate about it is the live service games. It seems to be the direction a lot of studios want to take. Whereas
I don't
you
like those.
have this investment at the start, and then you just keep working on that game forever, which it works in a couple of games. Like, I don't know if Helldivers 2. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
Like, that's
apparently
a
it's
game
very
that
good.
live service that Sony then just tried to destroy.
I don't think they meant to. They forced everybody to create a PSN account to play it, and everyone was like,
Yeah.
"Fuck you, cunts."
Well, the problem is it meant in 177 countries they couldn't create a PSN account, so they couldn't
So
play
they
the
couldn't
game
play the game anymore. Yeah, that was pretty stupid. They rolled it back, but damage.
They rolled it
damage
back,
is done.
but damage is done. But
Yeah.
that's the type of game studios see game like that working, like this live service where there's constantly stuff happening, and everyone wants that. But you can only have so many games like that.
But then why
Well,
is it
work.
something like, look at Baldur's Gate 3, please. Look at Baldur's Gate 3. Look
Yes.
how fucking successful it was. It won all the awards. It made a fortune. Like, you can make
then-
single player experiences. It's just a game. You make the game. We pay for the game. We play the game.
You play the game, you make your money back, you go away.
Yes. Make
And
a
you
good
start again.
product, and then people will pay you for it. And then you
But
don't
then
have to
you've
fuck
got the
around
problem-
and try and charge them for extra stuff here and there. Like,
then-
they're not doing any of that stuff.
Alan Wake 2 still hasn't made its money back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
in
played
fact, Remedy have they've cancelled development on what was going to be their next game to focus
no.
on existing franchises. So they're doing the Max Payne remakes,
Yes.
which they
Oh,
said
yeah.
they were going to do anyway. They're doing a sequel to Control, but then they're also doing a Control spin-off, which is a multiplayer version of Control.
Oh.
Well, I don't know how I feel about.
Which is the one thing we don't want.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
also I don't know. I've tried twice to play Control, and I've not finished it.
Control
there's
is
something
weird.
about it that just I don't know.
Control
doesn't
is
sit
you
right.
need to play Control, because I know what you're talking about, because I struggled to play through it the first time. I sat down the second. You need to sit down and spend the 10 hours and play it.
Yeah,
you
just
can't.
force- yeah,
You have to start to end, because it is a very strange game. And the second you stop playing and you come back to it a week later, you go, I have
yeah.
no
what is
idea what I
this?
was doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the concept is great. It's
Yes.
great. I just don't. Yeah.
And that's why
No,
I
you're
think
exactly
Control
right.
2, I think, will be a bit easier in that
Bit
regard.
accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Control to Control will likely be what Alan Wake 2 is to Alan Wake.
Yes.
Speaking of, I am progressing through Alan Wake. It's longer than I thought.
The first
It
one?
ends. You think it's going to end, and then it keeps going.
Are you playing
Yeah.
the first one or the second one?
The first one.
First one, yeah.
I just got past the bit where you go to the farm with the two.
Oh,
the
the
old,
brothers,
the old, yeah, the
Sons of Odin.
yes, exactly. And then you end up in prison, and I'm literally in the prison.
Ah,
and
okay.
things are going, and
with
things are going
Nightingale.
on. Yes, exactly right. So, I'm assuming there's only a chapter or two to go. It must be. So,
Yeah, you're getting there. You're getting there.
It just keeps getting better and better.
That that sequence
the
with
combat's tedious, though. I've got to say.
yeah, correct. Yeah. They learned from that for
Yes.
number 2. I mean, it's the same. This
I'm
is way
enjoying
less
it
of
until I'm not, and then I'm like, come on.
But you gotta
and then
keep
I get
doing
through
it.
it, and then I'm like, yeah.
That's why I like the second
Yeah.
one. It's not there. You can actually just run past.
Yeah,
some
yeah,
stages.
yeah. You could
There are
just not
bits in
go
this you
to
can,
certain areas,
But like
very
it's- yeah.
few.
Yeah,
Mostly,
yeah.
you just have to stand there and fight until everyone goes away, and then you can progress.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're towards the end. Yeah,
I did shoot a tractor with a flare gun. That was pretty cool.
nice.
It blew up. Well, disintegrated, I guess, more accurately. But
You know what we should probably do about now?
what's that?
We should head over to the after party.
The fuck is the after party, Luke?
You keep talking about this after party. We don't know what it is.
Oh, well, you give me money, I'll send you my bank account details, and you send me money directly. Or you can go to patreon.com/Nerdgasm and give it to all of us, but I prefer you give it to me directly. And then you get to listen to us talk for another 5-10 minutes. You give us $5 a month. For
Five,
$1
10
a month.
minutes. It is never only 5 to 10 minutes. And I don't want you to tell the
It was
listeners
meant to
that
be.
it is.
Yeah.
It's a lot longer.
It's going to be way longer than that because it always is.
But for a little $1 a month, you do get a few bonus things where you can get the episode a day early, and you do get a little behind the scenes every now and again as well. And
Yes.
I'll post a video of me drinking egg milk, egg
Excellent.
beer.
Egg beer.
And I also,
milk beer.
I was going to do last week because of everybody's travel and whatnot, we skipped a week, and then also last week we didn't have an after party, and I wanted to do a behind the scenes look at how we do the episodes, basically. And so I will do that. That will be coming up, and if you want to see that, jump on over to
I'm excited
patreon.com.
to see that because I don't know how it works.
Yes,
I just rock up and talk and go away.
Everybody's going to learn something. So yeah, so if you're interested in podcasting yourself, that might be of interest, or if you just wanted to see how the fuck I take this shit and turn it into a video.
Yeah, that's great.
You mean this quality, not this shit.
Quality content. How we get this quality content out there.
Well, I'll see you guys in the after party for more quality content.
Patreon.com/multiple nerdgasm.
That's all for this week. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed the show. If you enjoyed it, then please subscribe in iTunes to receive episodes automatically. We'll see you next time.